Hello, my name is Patel, Executive Director of the KIND Project.
And I'm Mynampati, Director of Public Relations at the KIND Project.
We're here to present to you the Senior Vice President of our managing network to address the disparaging comments made by Pave the Way's director towards some of our charities that we partner with. We understand that these comments have caused outrage amongst the public and our viewers on social media, and as a result, we've prepared video statements, written statements, and a direct communication to help mitigate the situation that we'll go into further detail. To begin, let's describe the nature of ethics. Ethics are moral principles that act as guidelines for the way a business presents itself and interacts with customers. Ethics are important for all aspects of business, which include human resources, operations, and most importantly, public relations. So prior to going in, I'll describe some characteristics. So ethics are essentially based on moral and social values. This means that we should place certain things such as consumer protection, self-control, and social responsibility above others. And as a result of these characteristics, ethics provide a basic framework for doing business. Because of ethics, we have certain social, cultural, economic, and legal limits that we must operate in and how we should respond to certain dilemmas that we have. And lastly, ethics upholds 6 main pillars. One pillar being trustworthiness, another pillar being respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and overall citizenship. So there are many advantages to ethics that help our company in the long term and short term. The first advantage is long-term growth. We want larger and more sustainable profits, and by following ethics, we can get that in place of having shorter profits. In addition, ethics allows for proper risk management. It reduces costs right now and also increases employee well-being in the future. Next, ethics allows us to coordinate our services, whether it be through marketing, promotions, financing, and so on. By following a code of ethics, we have this framework, like I mentioned, that allows us to coordinate our activities. Also, ethics allows us to attract consumers and lead to their overall satisfaction in the future. And finally, considering that we are generating consistent cash flow, ethics allows further loyalty from our investors and shareholders. So in our case, or in our situation here at the KIND Project, it's important to value ethical consideration. If no response is made to the director of Pave the Way's comments, our charities can feel underappreciated. And considering we have such a large cash flow, it's important to be transparent and communicate with donors, such that everyone feels appreciated and our cash flow is maintained in the future. Furthermore, it's important to explain the reasons or go into the reasons that ethical dilemmas arise. In the ideal world, businesses and employees would always do the right thing. However, in reality, dilemmas arise when a person has to choose between right and wrong, basically a moral or immoral act, so to speak. So there are various reasons for ethical dilemmas, but the main one involves prioritizing personal temptation and individual performance over a company's well-being, such as whether that be through social media or public image. Another main cause for ethical dilemmas involve a lack of integrity. When there's no adherence to deadlines, to property, or there's overall ambiguity in employee answers, we get a sense that their ethical dilemma may arise in the future. Next, another main reason for ethical dilemmas involve organizational problems. Sometimes the intentions of our organizations are misaligned, there are unclear policies, and we may have low overall funding. And this may lead to ethical dilemmas in the future, either externally or internally. And to combat this issue, it's important that we have a stronger brand promise and basically strive for cohesion within our employee base. In our situation, ethical dilemmas can arise through various factors, but through Pave the Way, an external factor was involved in this ethical dilemma. The director of Pave the Way has made derogatory remarks towards the charity partner, and although we didn't cause the problem, it's important to manage and account for all possible consequences and reaffirm our responsibility to not only our charity partners, but also to the public. Next, I'd like to explain the nature of effective communications and how that ties in to our overall response. To begin, effective communication means conveying information in the most efficient way possible, whether that be form or the content of the message. Concise communication is essentially a key part of this. We want to focus on the end user, maintain clarity, and essentially anticipate and answer all questions that may arise throughout the process. Also, it's really important to understand what message that we're conveying. There are various barriers that can arise that may distort, obscure, and misrepresent our message, but it's important to work through those barriers and actually account for all the variables that go into this process. How this relates to our process in the case that effective communication is necessary for us to retain our charity partners and public support and navigate the various dilemmas that may arise because of non-effective communication. Next, I'd like to describe how service orientation can be reinforced through communication. To begin, employees have to make it clear that their sole intention is to help the customer. Service orientation is the process of anticipating, recognizing, and consistently meeting a customer's needs. And communication, on the other hand, is any verbal or nonverbal interaction that a business has with its customers and employees. Good communication essentially finds a way to incorporate both the employee and the customer's input. And to maintain our service orientation, it's helpful to follow a specific process that I'll outline. One, it's important to think of customers. Our targeting market and our marketing persona are incredibly important in terms of our public image, and we must devise a communication approach with these two things kept in mind. Next, we must implement our approach upon adequate employee and customer feedback. We must control and monitor responses to approach and also make note of any extreme responses and follow up with advice. And through these processes, we can use effective communication to essentially reinforce our orientation in helping charities and also continuing our brand promise. And now Scott will describe how a company's brand promise is identified and how it relates to our overall image.
So one of the biggest things that we need to do in order to have a successful mission and successfully accomplish that mission is identify our brand promise. So identifying our brand promise. A brand promise is the overall experience and the values that a customer expects when dealing with the business. For example, Nike's brand promise is to provide inspiration to every athlete, every human in the world. Defining this promise, which is different from their slogan, allows them to deliver this promise with consistency. And so that includes their high-end and affordable products that also have high quality, their frequent marketing campaigns that make buyers feel connected to the athletes that they admire, and their close association with many athletes that makes you as the buyer feel good about your purchases. And so for us at the Kind Project, this brand promise is simple. We need to allow donors and viewers of the network to feel good about the donations they make. And we can do this in two ways: reinforcement of our mission and also the added value that we already provide through donation matching. And so in terms of how this applies specifically to our situation and how this brand promise can help us deliver on this promise, we can use this to make the decision in this pave the way dilemma. These derogatory comments can cause viewers to feel bad about donating to a charity that's seemingly arrogant and not considerate of other charities and the work that they do. Or it can make viewers and donors feel bad about associating with a project that seemingly doesn't support its charities that it's partnered with. And so the key insight is that by separating the director's comments from the actual positive mission of Pave the Way can help donors and viewers continue to feel good about their support for us. And it gives us an image as a socially responsible company. So this ties right into how company actions can affect the results that the company experiences. So every decision has an effect, whether intended or unintended, and careful analysis can make sure that the effect can always be predicted. For example, in the general business world, market research can help a company gain market share. Quality management, like implementing a Six Sigma process and continuous improvement processes, can increase greater customer satisfaction and reduce costs. Finally, doing charity work, as I mentioned previously, can increase the reputation of the company and create an image of the company as being socially responsible, thus resulting in higher customer loyalty and satisfaction. Our decision in this case can affect our donors' perception, as I mentioned previously. And what that means is it can affect viewership in the future. It can affect our customer loyalty, as I mentioned, which I'll analyze further when I delve into the pros and cons of different solutions. Finally, as we're facing an ethical dilemma right now, it's important to know how to respond to such dilemmas. This requires attention to detail and careful deliberation. Moreover, we need to recognize what actions we can take and what results they'll have. And through that analysis, we'll be able to make the decision that's best for our company, seeing as our decision will impact many parties. And so by acting with our customers, our donors, and our partner charities' well-being in mind, we can increase our perceived responsibility, and this decision can help the Kind Project move forward, going forward. So this brings us right into the pros and cons. By keeping the Pave the Way charity as a featured partner, it allows us to continue to contribute to a worthwhile mission. It also reinforces our commitment to our mission of serving the community. And the consequences of keeping Pave the Way include hurting our brand promise, as I mentioned, and hurting our reputation by taking away from what the other charities have done. And it can cause the other charities' image of us as a project to waver, and we could lose support from charities, and that could take away viewers of both the KIND project. We can lose donors, and the network, the greater network, can also lose viewers. That's why we want to keep the best of both worlds. We want to preserve our charities' loyalty, avoid the drama, which is the enemy of productivity, and then finally put the ball in the Pave the Way director's court to apologize. The cons of trying to make this careful compromise is the possible perception of indecisiveness among our viewer base. But we can easily mitigate this by concise, direct communication, which I plan to describe. Finally, the managing network will benefit because it won't lose viewership of its other shows due to mismanagement of this crisis. This brings us into the detailed version of our solution, which includes the video statements, which will show exactly what our charities have done so far and highlight their impacts to dispel and counter the false criticism put forth by the Pave the Way director. We'll also show how the KIND project has helped them fulfill their mission and reaffirm our commitment to these charities. In our written and spoken statement by Alyssa Macbeth, the spokesperson for our program, will also reinforce our project's mission statement, saying that we're committed to this mission despite these derogatory remarks, and saying that we do not condone these false comments, and we're still committed to helping these underserved rural communities. So we'll put aside what the director has said to make sure that we're able to contribute to the positive cause that the Pave the Way charity champions. And finally, with direct communication with the directors of some of these charities, we can reach out privately and reinforce our support for them to prevent them from feeling left out by the Pave the Way director's remarks. So with all those solutions in mind, we believe that the KIND project can really continue to make an impact, and that we have a really positive future going forward. Thank you for your time, and please feel free to reach out with any questions.